Claire from Angelic Scallywags. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, I'm a homeschool mum of 5 who came up with a harebrained idea to take up painting at the grand age of 48, begin my own business selling my art at the same time as studying for a master's in children and youth studies, whilst homeschooling my 2 youngest children, being the confidant of my 3 adult children plus 1 son-in-law, all of whom live here. My life is crazy busy and crazy happy. My adult children seem to take up more time now than they ever did as toddlers. I used to be worried about the empty nest syndrome and how on earth I would cope, but now I'm more concerned that no one will ever move out and our tiny cottage will literally one day burst at the seams. Add in boyfriends and friends who often stay over, and you'll understand when I say I'm thinking about hanging a couple of hammocks from the beams in our dining room to make room for anyone else. But really, I love it, and them, and I feel very blessed to be so close friends with them all. My life is one big, beautiful, messy collage of chaos, which has not been helped by allergy flare-ups, 3 different infections making their way through our home, and an assignment due. All this to say, apologies for the late video. I decided to do a day in the life because, well, I live those every day and they don't require an awful lot of thought or editing. It will also give you an idea of the fact that chaos so often rules my life. I oscillate between hyper-focusing on one thing for a whole day and attempting to do a little bit of everything each day. This video is a little bit of everything video because, let's face it, watching me study for 12 hours would be terminally boring for everyone, probably including me. Today began with a walk and then coffee outside with my favourite furry friend, Harvey. We've had Harvey since he was a tiny little puppy. Our eldest twin was really struggling with the death of our first dog, Oscar, who had just been put down and had been a part of her life for as far back as she could remember. And she was also really sad that her twin had decided to do A-levels at school rather than homeschool. If anyone out there has twins, you may understand it when I say that for Lily it felt like she had lost an arm. Charlotte was so much a part of Lily and Lily so much a part of Charlotte. They were incredibly close and had spent every day of the past 16 years together, sharing their lives, thoughts and dreams. They shared a room, so literally spent 24 hours a day with each other. Lily was hurting badly. So Gary decided to take her to see a litter of chocolate labs. I think there were 10 or so, all bouncing balls of gorgeousness. Actually, that's not accurate. One was cowering in the corner. He was thin, distressed, and very lonely. It probably won't surprise you when I say that she chose him. We brought him home, and it soon became apparent that he was not able to eat or drink, and was really quite sickly. Lily slept with him on a put-up bed in the living room, hand-feeding him homemade chicken and vegetables. Together, they healed. Lily from her heartbreak, and Harv from being the obvious runt of the litter. Oh, and we also got 2 kittens at the same time. Hey, don't judge me. Remember, I was the girl who had 3 babies in 9 months and 2 weeks, and then, because we weren't busy enough, decided that a puppy, some guinea pigs, and a couple of rabbits were a good idea. Oh, and we already had 2 cats, George and Lucy. Go on then, judge away. I clearly have very little sense, and honestly nothing much has changed in the intervening years. Anyway, you can see me here having a coffee and reading the Cottage Fairies book, and writing a to-do list for the day. I'm sitting by our pond. Any of you who read my blog know that this is approximately the 973rd pond we have had. Each time Gary decides it's not quite right and so starts all over again. He's still been meddling with it this weekend. The first thing I needed to do was to print out some maps for Abs, who was going orienteering with the Army Cadets that following weekend. I then spent an hour writing. I love to write, be it in my blog, for my homeschool curriculum, or one of the books I'm writing. I lack the courage so far to actually publish them, but I really enjoy the process. I thought I might read you an excerpt of the book I'm currently writing. I'm about 40,000 words in, and it is, I guess, a romance. Michael had been sitting on the rocks close to the pier. It was a cold, sunny, wintry afternoon, and he was grateful for the woolly hat and scarf his parents had sent the week before. As he tucked the flapping ends into his duffel coat, he breathed in the smell of home, thanking God once more for his incredible parents. His mum may not be the most natural homemaker, or knitter if this rather lopsided scarf was anything to go by, but he so appreciated the obvious love and hard work which must have gone into making this scarf, which was, right at that very moment, enfolding him in a hug, albeit a holy one. He lifted his face upwards to bask in the cool sunshine, his eyes spanning out the breadth of the seashore. It was all so beautiful, so vast, and in a peculiar way comforting. It somehow helped to put his problems into perspective. It was in that moment, with a small, wry grin on his face, that Michael dragged his gaze away from the expanse of water back to his chilly hands. It was a shame his mum hadn't also knitted some gloves. As he mulled over this, his eyes, without thought, lifted once more, returning to something familiar. Michael had not noticed, not recognised, the lone girl sitting on the shingles, but somehow his unconscious had caught sight of a memory past, and his eyes were drawn intrinsically back to her form. He suddenly gasped, heaving in a deep breath, not realising his body in that moment had stopped working, stopped breathing. Michael's heart was beating so hard he thought it might vibrate out of his chest. He took a couple of steadying breaths and studied the huddled girl alone on the empty beach. Knees drawn up to her chest, skinny arms wrapped around them, trying to keep herself warm. Michael knew that this was not the same Annabelle he had left at the airport. She was desolate. She was solitary, and not just because she was alone. Her whole body had erected barriers, warning anyone who would notice to stay away. Her backbone showed clearly through the thin cardigan she was wearing. She was swaying gently back and forth, as if it brought her a measure of comfort, or maybe heat. All this information was processed by Michael's brain subconsciously, as his body moved forward slowly towards the love of his life. He knew without doubt she would reject him, and he knew without doubt he would not let her. Over the next hour, I watched a tutorial for my master's. My assignment is about crossover between personal experience and professional practice. I'm finding this year harder than last year because it's about clinical practice and I do not have any experience from which to draw. No matter, I shall do my best and be content with that. The night before this day, I received a text from a friend who said she'd been to the shop that had stocked some of my cards. She said they had sold well and did I have any other designs or products, as they'd be very interested in seeing them. So here you can see me making up a couple of boxes containing samples from across my shop.
Oh my child, I know you're hurt and you can't let go. It's not your fault and you don't deserve all the bad and the hurt. I know you tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. Did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up. Just hold on tight. It'll be alright. All your life you've tried to be a good man inside. Did everything that you thought you should. Didn't seem to do you any good. I know you've tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up, just hold on tight. It'll be alright. I know you tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up, just hold on tight. It'll be alright.
The last thing on my list was to take some photos of Bex's work and send them off for marking. Bex is doing level 1 diplomas in textiles, mixed media and photography. This is some of the work towards her textiles diploma. Well, that was all for this particular day. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. Hopefully now everyone is well. Posting will return to normal. Until then, don't forget to dream impossible dreams.